morning, friends, neighbors, and fellow passengers on the good ship Regency Oaks. Together, we're sailing the seas of change in this stormy, stormy year of 2020. But that's okay. That's okay. This is just our latest life adventure. And on the horizon, on November 3rd, we can all see approaching the pillar of democracy, the general election. When we citizens select leaders for the national, state, and local levels, we'll all pause there, each of us, and we'll make our voices heard through our votes. A group of us like-minded residents were discussing the 2020 election and talking about how this year would be different and how this year would be the same as previous elections. As we were talking, we agreed that there were some steps we could take that would improve the odds of every single resident's vote getting counted, and what we could do to make it easier and safer for voters to vote confidently this particular year, despite the pandemic and despite the politics. So with Brant's blessing, it is my pleasure today to announce the Regency Oaks Get Out the Vote initiative. Details will be provided via the Oaks and in future Tuesday Talks meetings, so we hope you'll stay tuned. In September, our focus will be twofold. First, to assist residents to confirm their voting status and to confirm they are registered to receive mail-in ballots if that is their intention. Secondly, we want to answer any questions residents have about the process of voting itself. Questions like, how am I registered to vote? What am I? Or, I moved here since the last general election, and is my voter registration current? Or maybe, I haven't voted in the last several elections. Am I still registered? Details on this program will also follow in the Oaks and in Tuesday Talks. In October, we'll be focusing on the act of voting itself. We'll deal with early voting, mail-in voting, where to find information about candidates and initiatives, and anything else you tell us that you need to help us get your vote out. This initiative has been designed for you, fellow residents, and we hope you find it helpful. Ideas and suggestions are encouraged. And thank you for voting.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Talk. We're delighted that you're able to join us either in person or on channel 732. To get us started this morning, I'm going to ask Bill Henry to come up and say a few remarks about early voting and the great job that he and Robin Graham have done to help get Regency Oaks ready for the vote.
Robin Graham and I are initiating a two-part program with a lot of assistance from Tiffany and Brant to get out the vote. I know that this is a very important election, and we all want to make sure that our vote counts. The first part is Robin's part, and if you watch the video this afternoon or later today, you'll see her talking about it. And she's going to be assisting you in making sure you're ready to vote. Are you registered? Is your address correct? Is everything on file correct? Secondly, I'm going to be focusing on the voting process. Now, we're all very knowledgeable and hopefully concerned about the post office. Will our ballot get there? Will it get there safely so it can be counted? So what we're going to do is we're going to put voting boxes in both lobbies. And you can deposit your mail ballot in those boxes. Tiffany is going to see to it that on a weekly basis, the box is emptied and driven to the election office. This is perfectly legal. It will make sure your ballot arrives to be counted. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me or Tiffany or Robin, and we will help you understand. There's no intent to capture your vote, steal your vote, impede your vote. All we want to do is make sure it gets there. The third option on voting, another option, is to go to the polls. And Tiffany plans to have transportation available if you want to do that. But we do not recommend that. Robin works as a poll worker, and she says it is really not the safest thing you can do. So we recommend you should do mail-in voting. If you question whether you're available, whether you're going to get a mail ballot, see Robin, and she will assist you in finding out whether you're able to get a mail vote. So anyway, get out there and vote. Thank you.
So thank you, Bill, very much. Are there any questions for Bill? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I went voting now for the primary myself. There was absolutely, it was so safe. They stand by the door, they open the door, you don't touch anything. You go, give them their driver's license and the voting card, and then you have, it almost looks like a chopstick with a little cotton on the end, and you take this and you sign the thing and you throw it in the garbage. You never touch anything. And when you leave, they open the door again. It was so safe, there was no lines, no nothing. I felt very good, very safe.
I'm glad to hear you had a good experience, Lottie.
Very good.
I don't want to imply that voting in person is terribly dangerous. I'm just saying that the safest thing you can do is to vote by mail. And we want to help you do that. But please, if you prefer to go in person, go, but vote.
Okay.
So the safest thing you can do in Regency Oaks, I think, is vote by mail. But if you want to go to the polls, go vote. Thank you. That's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. The date for mail-in ballots is they will be sent out on September 29th is the date when the elections office will be mailing them. So in the next week after that, you should receive them. On October 6th, we'll kick off the process of collecting ballots. Any other questions? The election is November 2nd, and the last delivery by Tiffany will be on the 1st.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Great discussion. So yesterday, the board and I had an opportunity to do some collegial learning. We attended the virtual conference of Leading Age. We had a great day of partnering and had some really interesting topics presented by Leading Age, and as a result of that, I was not able to be on the Monday COVID report, and I want to thank Leslie for doing an able job in my absence and filling in nicely. As Leslie reported yesterday, our numbers continue to improve, and that's not only true at Regency Oaks, but it's also true for the state of Florida. And so I wanted to take just a minute this morning to look at mobility. And this is not something we talk about often. It's something that we continue to track, because as you think about the leading indicators, this is the earliest of all the leading indicators. And it looks at cell phone data and mobility traced through cell phone activity. And so every time your cell phone moves off of the Regency Oaks campus, it's tracked from tower to tower. And this is what's called megadata. It's not It's not zeroed into your specific cell phone number, although it's rolled up and collected on a broad scale level. So let's go to the board. There are a couple of interesting things that we can observe. So these statistics come from the Transportation Department. They're published on a weekly basis. And I like these particular graphs because we can take a year-over-year comparison and sort of see what's happening. The very first chart we're looking at, left-hand side, is people who are staying home. And you can see there's been about a 20 million count reduction. This is national data. So about 20 million more people are staying home in 2020 as opposed to 2019. The blue is the 20 data and the orange is the 2019 data. Now if you go to the next chart, this is interesting. You can see that there was a reduction in the number of people staying home, but look at the people who are not staying home. It's almost identical in 19 over 20. Yes, there's been a slight increase, but you can see it's well above the target line, and so there's not been much of a chance. Now, what does that mean in terms of interpreting the data? It means that the people who are out and about and not paying attention to social distancing and travel restrictions are the same people who are out and about and not paying attention to social distancing and traveling restrictions this year as well as last year. The other one that I think is interesting is the number of trips per day less than 1 mile. It's interesting to me. I saw an Allstate commercial a couple of years ago, and they were giving a statistic, and there's a largest number of accidents occur within a 1 mile radius of home. It's people who are doing everyday travel, going to the grocery store, out to see their physician. And what you see here is I think a good representation of that statistic. And so the number of short trips, although it's been reduced, look at these similarities in the travel patterns, the peaks and valleys. The two lines almost mirror each other. And so by far, based upon the mobility data, the risk of running into COVID is not substantially less because you're only going up to Publix. And so the distance does not seem to have much of an impact onto the mobility. There's one slide on this second row that I thought was interesting as well. It's the number of trips per day of more than 100 miles. And you can see it's the far chart on the right-hand side, and it almost looks like they traced over the 2019 line because they are so similar. What we are interpreting through this analysis is these are individuals who are taking vacation, taking short trips, day trips typically, and that does not seem to have changed much year over year. One of the things that we have seen a pretty significant change in is the number of people who are boarding airplanes and doing either domestic or international travel. Particularly the domestic, you can see it's dropped off well below the benchmark in prior years. So I just wanted to spend 1 minute talking about weekend visits and visitation policies. And so two things, it has been reported that over the weekend there's been an increase in the number of families who are visiting. Regency Oaks is still currently closed to families, and there are very few exceptions. So I guess that what is happening is over the weekend it's gotten a little lax, certainly with our staff, and I've had a discussion with Lauren and Denise to try to tighten that up. I'm also asking for residents to continue to support and follow the rules. We are not open for family visits, whether it's a weekday or a weekend. One of the other pieces of information that is out there, and I just wanted to speak to it so that I could clarify it, is there seems to be a belief that if you submit to 5 days of temperature check as a family member, you are therefore free to come and go and visit mom and dad at any time, and that's not accurate. We have made some exceptions for one-time visitations, typically a post-hospitalization, where mom's gone to the hospital, the daughter is going to come and spend a couple of days with her, and as part of that pre-planned surgery, the daughter comes to Regency Oaks every single day for 5 consecutive days, submits to a screening and a temperature check, and after doing that for 5 days, we time it so that it coincides with the surgery and the return to home, and the daughter might be able to come and stay for 3 days while mom is recovering. So there are some exceptions, but I want to be crystal clear. Right now, the community is not open to families, visitors, guests under normal circumstances, and I'm asking for your support and cooperation as we try to clear that up. So I have Phil Surt here with me today, and he and I are going to open it up to dining questions. Today starts the return to our dining services in both the north and the south dining rooms. All right, so Phil, thanks again for joining us, and we will take any questions that you might have about dining services.
If we have lunch in the north and one grab and go from the tavern, how much will that cost?
Cost of a 2 meal per day would be a full meal credit. So if you ate in the tavern for dinner and you ate, say, in the north dining room for lunch, that second meal would be a full meal credit.
Just $7.50.
Correct. So the question was, if a person eats in the north dining room for lunch and then in turn eats a grab and go out of the tavern for dinner, how much would that be? And the cost of that would be a second meal credit for the second meal of the day.
How much?
$7.50.
Phil, our new system starts this week, and had a question since we have a cocktail party. The cocktail party runs from 3:30 to 5 in the tavern, and grab and go is from 4 to 6. How do we resolve that for this Thursday?
The question was, we have a grab and go at the same time as the cocktail party on Thursday. And we are going to serve the cocktail party out of the tavern as that walk-through so that you can get your drinks. And that 4 to 6 grab and go is going to be served out of the new kitchen area next to the pool.
This is just a what if happens, and you maybe not have thought about it, but I know some people are having trouble reestablishing their groups, either because they're now moved from 4 down to 3, or because even if they do that, there's some people that aren't here that might be over at Sylvan Health Center or in the hospital. If you fill out your menu and turn it in and choose to have a delivery, what if the situation might change towards the end of the week and you find someone and you want to eat in the dining room? Can they call or go down there or turn in a piece of paper to sign up for a lunch or dinner? Or have you not thought about that enough yet to give an answer, but you might think about that in the future? I know several people still trying to find a person to eat with because they don't want to eat at home. Is there anything where you could turn in your name and say, sit me with someone?
The question was, if circumstances change throughout the week and you've already filled out your menu, you've already submitted it for whether or not you want to eat in your room, in your condo, or you want to eat in the dining room with your friends, is there any chance that you can change that throughout the week? And at this point, at this moment in time, the answer is no. Because this is all new for everybody, we're keeping it to a once it is set, we're just going to run with that for the week. As we move through this, things may change, and they may change quickly.
I have an additional question about dining. In the past, you used to display the food out at the table so we could look at the choices. Is there a chance that you will do that again, simply because we haven't been able to see something when we've had delivery, but maybe there's 2 items and we aren't crazy about either one of them, but if we look at it, it'll help us make the decision. So can you please do that for us in the dining rooms?
2-part question. The first part was, will we have displays in the dining rooms? The answer is currently no. At this time, we're trying to avoid people congregating around a central location. So we do not want to put out a plate where everybody might huddle over it and look. Like I said before, as we move through this, things will change and probably change fairly quickly. Your second question was towards breakfast in the tavern on Sunday. We're going to continue the bagel and lox delivery on Saturday evening if you get delivery. If you do eat in the dining rooms for either lunch or dinner on Saturday and do not get the delivery, we will give you a, for lack of a better term, doggy bag or a to-go bag with the bagels and lox for breakfast the following day.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Phil. We really appreciate you being here and taking a few questions. There's just one last update that I wanted to provide, and that was on some of our projects that are finishing up. And if you haven't been out to the pool area, you'll notice that the new sail over the cooking area has been installed, and the new push button automatic door on the south side of the pool has been installed and should be operational today. We also have had a roofer out on the south building, and that P-wing that has been problematic for 2 or 3 years with leaks, we've ripped up that area and completed the first section, and the second section that was scheduled for later this week, so that will be occurring as well. The new fence area over on the south side of the property, close to Sylvan, has been replaced as well. So please take a look, drive around, and take a look at some of these new campus improvements. I want to take a few minutes for questions, and we'll open it up for any resident questions.
Rand, are you going to put also an electric push button on the north side of the pool?
No. So the question is, are we going to put an automatic door opener on the north side as well as the south side? And the answer is no. And the reason for that is the north side has only one door. It's that far door on the right-hand side that has been sloped. And so we want all of our wheelchair traffic coming in on the side of the pool where the restrooms are, as opposed to coming in on a second entrance.
Did the furniture in the north building come back? The outside furniture?
Question was whether the furniture on the north side exterior lobby had been returned. And yes, it is back in place. It has been completely sanitized and returned to its normal location. Thanks for joining us today, and go out and have a great day.
Okay.